Hey everybody, you guys ready for some Red Dead Redemption? All right, we're getting a late start, so we're going to get going right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up as I bring out one by one Benjamin Byron Davis, Dutch Vanderland himself. And Alex McKenna, Miss Sadie Adler, and Robert Wiethoff, John Marston. Arthur is, he had to stop at the doctor. He'll be here shortly. He's had a little cough, I think. No, don't play past chapter 4. Don't play past chapter 4.
Look at this.
Spoiler warning.
You guys, this is awesome. I'm so sorry that we're late. This is so cool that you're all here. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Well, thank you all for being here. Yeah, Roger is on his way. He'll be joining us as soon as he arrives, so keep listening for that door. So I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to ask everybody here on the panel, what was the hardest scene in the Red Dead Redemption universe that you had to, you had to perform, and why?
Oh, well, here we go.
Oh, and somebody's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Roger Clark, Arthur Morgan.
Sorry everyone. I had this whole thing planned. I was going to do a really dumb question from the back row. You all recognized me. That's weird. Sorry, I'm late. Sorry. Thank you, everyone. Please carry on.
No, we're glad you're here. The question to the panel was, what is the hardest scene from the Red Dead Redemption universe that you had to perform and why?
Crouch running.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, he's right. He is absolutely right. So yeah, they didn't warn us ahead of time. We would show up like we did every day, and all of a sudden there's a different person there. It's not the normal director that we've been working with. And this guy says, all right, we're gonna go through some stuff. And you do all these different movements, runs, different walks, but crouch running. Yeah, you gotta crouch run with, I don't know, every weapon that you have, right? Took a few days and it was horrible. Everything else was easy compared to that.
Alex?
I mean, it's hard to top that when that's honestly the truth.
Why does it smell like whiskey up here?
Should have been late.
Could be you. Maybe. No, I would. If it was me, I wouldn't smell it.
Hard. I mean, every part of this was just truly a joy. So it's kind of hard to say what was difficult. I know that I had some scenes that were rather emotional. But that was really cathartic. Weirdly with this. So normally if you do a film, you have a whole script, and we didn't have that with this. We worked on it for 5.5 years, and for my character, for Sadie, I actually did film the very beginning at the very beginning, and then the very end at the very end, which is rare, in my understanding. This is the only video game thus far I've worked on. So getting to do my vengeance was really it was very intense. I'm snotting, I'm crying, but it felt like exactly what I needed. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with that. So hard, difficult, no, but intense, yes.
I remember you doing that scene, Alex. I remember doing it with you, and I remember how awesome you were. But one thing I did not expect is when I finally saw it, you are covered in blood. And I'm like, holy shit, this slaps so much different, and it's just a different way than I expected. You are caked in O'Driscoll blood, and it just makes it so much even better,
Yeah, turn me into a monster.
Oh, well, I was remembering, I think in some appearance where Peter Blomquist was, there were some, we called them campfire conversations that I had to do with him, and there was one in particular where Micah had to smile. Peter invented this kind of, he looked like a block of concrete cracking. And I could not get a take without just laughing my ass off. It was so funny. So that, I would say that was a challenge. A good one.
All right, cool, thank you. Question for everybody, which character in the game, other than the character you played, is your favorite? And what reasons do you have for that choice?
I like Charles Smith. Yeah. He's loyal and he's strong and he's honest. Yeah, I really rate him. Let's give him a DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard this question before, and I feel like I answer it differently every time. But I think the truth is, I really like all of the characters. I like the people that played the characters. I don't think that anybody would play them as well as the people that did. And so, I'm sorry to make this like a non-answer, but I really like them all. And I think they all should be celebrated, because every one of them made the story what it is. So, yeah. That's good.
I'm gonna go with Gavin.
And I'm fine with Dutch.
All right. I am not going to argue with Dutch Vanderland.
A wise man.
I learned very quickly. So let's ask a question about Dutch, since we're on the subject. So Dutch's character in the second game undergoes like a crazy change from the beginning of the game to the end. There's a lot of theories about why. So why do you think he changes so profoundly, and how did you change your performance up from the beginning of the game, those scenes early, to the ones at the end?
Well, that's a good question. I was in, Rob, Steve Palmer, who plays Bill Williamson, and I guess Abigail as well. There were a few of us who knew our fate, because our fate was sealed in the first game. And that gave us, so we didn't have the whole script, we kind of knew. So I knew what I owed with Dutch. I knew, because when I played him in the first game, the marching orders were the guy is ridiculously well read, he was the leader of a gang, and the cheese has slid off the cracker. And that was pretty much what I had to go on. So we knew what we owed, and I kept waiting, like you get the pages at the beginning, and I saw talk to Annabelle, and I thought maybe we're going to see her, maybe that's going to be what, but you never quite knew. But what I did know, and what Rod, our director, knew, was sort of where in the process we were, and that got refined over time. But for the first year of work, it was Dutch in his prime, and I was going, and I had all these badass lines to memorize, and all these badass scenes to play, and I got to kill all sorts of people, and it was a lot. And then it was a year of doubt and confusion, and it just was not nearly as much fun to play Dutch in decline as it was to play Dutch ascendant.
You did a great job, Ben. I remember, what blew my mind was when I played it for the first time, seeing Red Dead 2, and at the beginning of Red Dead 2, that is a totally different Dutch than what we saw at the end of Red Dead 1. You know, this guy's a leader, you know, and the people believe in him and they follow him, you know, and my gosh, that arc is amazing. Yeah.
We got lucky. We got lucky telling this story.
There are theories that the cable card crash caused damage to Dutch's brain, that he had a TBI.
Can I address it?
Yeah, I was wondering what you thought of that theory.
Well, so the first thing I want to say, and it's important, we're not the authority on these characters. We're not. You guys are. The characters belong to you. Your opinion is as valid as any of our opinions. So if anything I say conflicts with your belief stands. You understand? Okay. So that said, Dutch Vanderlinde is the best shot in the Vanderlinde gang. Hear me out. Hear me out. This is well established in Red Dead Redemption. For those that forget, John Marston shows up in Cochinay, and with a revolver, Dutch Vanderlinde shoots in the air 300 yards and hits him in the binoculars.
So he missed, basically.
That sounds like Arthur to me. He intended to miss. If John Marston was ever Dutch's target, John Marston would be dead. So, there are 2 missions. There's one in Valentine. You remember this, Rob? When we had to carry that stupid wagon?
Yo, yeah.
So in Valentine, the 2 of us are incapacitated carrying this stupid wagon. And for those of you that think it was voice acting, it was not. And this wagon was effing heavy.
Yeah.
And we had to, and the reason we had to be bothered with the wagon is the reason that Dutch got banged on the head, which is escaping from Valentine or from Saint Denis with Dutch Vanderlinde at full capacity. There would be nothing for Arthur to do. So, here's where this gets important. There are a lot of people that I've met over the last 6 years since this game came out who feel seen because they've had traumatic brain injury. They feel very seen by the theory that Dutch was altered by that brain injury. And I do not want to deny that truth. So for those that believe that that injury is what contributed to Dutch's decline, I say absolutely. But mechanically speaking, that injury is because Dutch is such a badass. That the game would be no fun to play because I'd have killed everybody.
Thank you. So on that same idea, Rob, there are distinct differences between John's character in Red Dead 1 and Red Dead 2. Because he's much younger and he learns responsibility and takes on the family in the original game. How did you change your performance from game to game to kind of match that change?
Well, yeah, it was wild because throughout Red Dead, all of Red Dead Redemption, I would have questions and they just always would say, John Marston is the toughest in this whole universe. He is not afraid of anyone. He is not. And I thought, I love it. I always love to hear that so much. And so, so when I showed up for the second one, I'm like, there's a whole lot going on here. There's a lot different, isn't it? And so they said, again, no, he's still really, really tough. He's just younger. He's a little frustrated because he wants to get the same respect that he sees Arthur Morgan get, that he sees all these. He wants that, but he hasn't earned it yet. So immediately, I remembered myself in high school when I thought, I'm here. I've made it. I'm in high school, and this is great. And I see people that are cracking jokes, and everybody's laughing, and I'm going to do the same thing. And it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, and I remember that. And so I think I kind of knew, like through my own life, what that must be like for John. So I think that helped a lot. But John was still tough as nails. What happened here? That turned off when I said it. Did you do that? Yeah, John was still really, really tough. That's what's important for you all to know right now.
Thank you. Just so you know, a lot of these questions were submitted by people online for us. So most of these questions are actually questions from your audience there. So just so
far, so good.
If you submit, yeah, he got a lot of pressure from this guy, man. So a question for Alex. So Sadie, this is another question from one of the fans here. Sadie's story picks up in the second half of the game. Did you know that she was going to play such a huge part in the story, and when did you start to realize that as the performances went on?
I absolutely did not. I had 1 day of work, and then 6 months went by. Truly. I was like, did I do something wrong? Like, what happened? But I didn't have any idea for 2.5 years, honestly, that Sadie was going to be as big a character or as instrumental in the development of the story. And yeah, as the second half is absolutely, even in filming, when it picked up for me as well. And I just got to be so delighted and thrilled that I got to play this autonomous badass, you know, not in relation, she's not a mother, she's not a wife anymore, she's not somebody's love interest, she's just one of the fucking gang. And that was pretty rad.
Right on, thank you. All right, Roger, question from the fans. Had Arthur not gotten tuberculosis, would he have ever changed himself? Would he have continued down the path of being the ruthless outlaw?
These are really such great questions.
From the fans, yeah, take credit.
Well, it depends on the way you play him, you know? That's one of the beauties. That's one of the beauties of Red Dead 2. You got so much freedom of how you want your Arthur to be, you know? But personally, I think that death sentence does change his perspective on life. And I think, narratively speaking, you know, it's a very important part. I think it's what makes him try and start to be a better man, I think. So, to answer, honestly, I don't think so. I don't know. Had he not had a new perspective on his mortality, maybe he wouldn't have changed so much, you know? And I can't say for certain that he would have. And what would have happened, you know? Because there's always a goddamn train, right? You know? That's I think, is one of the biggest sources of conflict within the game, is that the West is dying. It's one of the first things we read at the beginning of the game. There's and half the gang sees the writing on the wall, and the other half refuses to, and that's where a lot of the conflict comes from. But yeah, whether they like it or not, the West is coming to an end, and that's what one of the most interesting things about Red Dead Redemption is that we're seeing it firsthand. So I don't know. I don't think he would have. I'm not sure his perspective on life would have changed without it.
I have one more question, and then we're going to throw it to the crowd to ask. There are rumors that a third Red Dead Redemption game may be in the works at this point.
Really?
Yeah. I hope so. If you had your way, each member of the panel, whose story would we be following, and how might this game be structured?
Spoiler alert.
I wish. I'm waiting for that call. I mean, I would love it to be Sadie and Charles. And then we learn some things about Jack. You know, I employ people because I'm a boss, and I think it would be a really good time.
That would be cool. A lot of people say, "Oh, what happens?" But what are we at? What's the end of Red Dead 1? Is it 1911?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey,
Well, 1914.
1914 with Jack. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's kind of not really the West anymore, is it? Now you're getting into like World War I. I don't know. We were just doing it. I mean, we're working on it right now. That's a joke.
Quick, post that on TikTok. Quick.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure someone will.
The ghost of Arthur.
I kind of think, what if something maybe about Landon Ricketts or something?
That's cool.
That would be cool. Landon Ricketts, and then maybe we could show up as cameos, like as younger versions of ourselves.
You know young Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to do young Dutch.
Yeah!
Dutch in high school.
But yeah, I think that if they do go forward, like another prequel, there's a real good chance that the playable character will be someone we've never met before, just like Arthur Morgan was, and just like
Red
you
Harlow.
felt. Yeah, well, Well, yeah. But what I'm saying is it went John Marston, and then the epilogue he plays Jack.
Right, oh, right.
So this one, Arthur Morgan epilogue, he plays John. If they do another prequel, it could either be high school Dutch or
Write a letter.
it could be Sadie and Charles. I would love it. I think it's awesome. I think anybody that was part of this game deserves their own game, of course.
What if it was Davy?
Davey would be amazing.
Davey Calendar.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Could be Gavin.
Oh my God, yeah.
We haven't even thought about that yet, everybody.
Could be Gavin.
Where the hell is that guy?
Have we met a Gavin on this one?
I met one this morning. Yeah.
Okay, we found it now.
All right, if you want to ask a question, the microphone's right there. You can jump up there and ask a question. I'm the director of programming for the show, so I'm going to let us go long because I get to decide that.
Oh, cool. Sorry.
Can't go super long, but we're going to try to get as many of your questions in as we can.
So for the first game, we got the Undead Nightmare team.
What's your name? What's your name?
Sorry, I'm Brian.
Nice to meet you, Brian. Sorry.
So for the first game, we got Undead Nightmare, and that was a game, even though it's technically in between the John's ending of the game. But do you think that we ever hopefully get one to see a zombie Arthur Morgan maybe?
No idea.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the nature of DLCs has changed a lot too. You know, we don't really see DLCs have changed since Undead Nightmare. That's undeniable. You know, what I thought was really cool for GTA, is that we started to see more and more additions to the online world, you know? And we saw Franklin after a few years had passed, and I thought that was really awesome. So I have no idea. But if it were to happen, I don't think it would happen in the same way Undead Nightmare did. I think maybe it might be an add-on to the online. But it's really tough to say. I think they're busy with a little game called GTA 6 right now.
Does Dutch have a plan?
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Dean. Nice to meet you. Thanks for everyone for coming out. Hello. So I know that when you guys were doing a lot of the mocap stuff and the voice acting, that it was very hush hush, and you couldn't quite tell people what you were doing. And so after it finally came out, and for people in your lives, your friends, your family, loved ones, for each of you, real quick, was there any such obvious mannerisms where it's like that is such a Roger Clark way that he just kind of shifts his body weight around when he's standing still, or is that such like a Rob way that kind of holds his hands on his hip, like little ticks that the game kind of captured from your mocap and performances, like you as a person onto the character?
That was funny because 5 years I worked on Red Dead 2.
Crotch running?
And and the NDA was strict for obvious reasons. It was so funny though, because I would be telling friends and family, I'm working on a video game. I wouldn't say anything else. You know, I'm working on a video game. And after about 3 years, they started to look at me funny, and they're like, "You still working on that video game yet?" And I'm like, "Yeah." You know, it's okay if you're out of work. You can just say so. But then it came out, and they're like, "Oh." But yeah. So to answer your question, a few people spotted,
Well, so I knew that John, when I played the game, I knew John was going to sound like me because I was there for that. I was part of that. I expected it. But when I started making John run, I was so bummed out. I called my wife and I was like, look at that. Look at how they made him run. Look at that. And then I thought, oh my God, that's me. Yeah, there is I don't like it at all, but whatever. Nothing we can do about it now.
Well, when we started working on the game, again, the NDA, so strict, after a couple years, because I kept wanting to go shooting, because, we're working with weighted fake guns, but, I want to be good at what I do. And so I wanted to know how to actually shoot a pistol in real life. And I think my friends started to think that I had joined the CIA because I would come back from work with scratches, with bruises, and I just kept wanting to go train. And I have some very serious gamer friends, and they were actually angry with me that they didn't know. And I was like, but even if I wouldn't have said a word, I didn't. But what would they have done with the information? Like, can't we reframe and just make it be cool now? And I would say, Sadie's a lot like me. And I'm a lot like Sadie. And I have a little mantra that I say sometimes when I'm feeling overwhelmed or like a little bit nervous about something, like, what would Sadie do? Yeah. And then I turn it down like 20%.
But I'll tell you what, if we had cowboy boots on and you saw us walking down the hallway, you'd be able to pick us out from behind. Because the misnomer is voice acting. The reality is it was just acting. It's called performance capture. And if you ever want to see how we did it, you go watch the behind the scenes of Avatar. And that's what we didn't have, little ears on our helmets. But we had, if you see us opening a door, there was a door. If you see us getting on a horse, there was a facsimile of a horse. You see us pulling out our guns, we're pulling out our guns. It was all us. But the memory that I always go back to, I've known Robert, for 25 effing years. Yeah. Lucky me. I swear to God. We've now traveled the world together, but we met working security at a bar in LA 25 years ago. But then
I was the tough one.
When there was trouble, they went for him. But then I didn't see him for a couple of years, and then I ran into him on my first day of work on Red Dead 1. And then I didn't see him for a lot of years, except in getting ready to go and work on Red Dead 2. I played Red Dead 1 like 4 or 5 times just to get back in the idea of the milieu of it. But so my first day on Long Island, we're staying at a hotel, and it's just the timing to go get picked up by the car. I come out of my hotel room, 3 doors down, another hotel door opens. It's this guy, and he's walking down the hallway, and I'm just looking at him like, this is, I know exactly who that is, because it's John Marston walking down the hallway. Anyway, but so you go and play the campfire stuff when we're all around the campfire, and I can see every one of us. I mean, you can see Jim Santangeli and Pearson, you can see Kylie Vernoff and Grimshaw, Peter Blomquist and Micah.
Yeah, good
Thank you.
question, man. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, my name is Rob, too. It's a good name, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So, we all know that Rockstar Games has like a reputation nowadays for just making, incredible projects. But when you were cast for your respective roles, whether it was for the first game or for the second game, did you know that Rockstar was actually making it when you auditioned, or did you find that out later on?
I didn't know anything. I assumed it was for an Apple commercial because we had to sign these crazy NDAs even to audition. And typically for an audition, you get your sides, which is, the words that you will be saying beforehand. And in this case, I showed up to a place, they handed me basically a monologue of an entire page and said, do a Southern accent. And, being the actors that we are, I was like, from where? Like Georgia? Texas? What kind of Southern accent? And they were just like, Southern. Just, okay. And so I did it, and then, it's kind of fun actually to not be able to prep because you just lay it on the table and we're like, all right, I got called back, did a similar thing. And then the next thing I knew, I was told to report to this place on Broadway in New York. And I was like, great, cool, booked a job. Still had no idea what it was. And showed up to headquarters and saw the Rockstar logo, and my jaw hit the floor. Because I had played Vice City, and I thought Rockstar was fucking best. And I couldn't believe it. Like, and then also I couldn't believe that I couldn't tell anyone. Yeah.
They're all called the same thing when you audition for them. They're all called Untitled Video Game Project.
Yeah. No idea. No. My agent didn't know either. Nobody knew. It was just, I thought it was probably an audition for a commercial for a video game that had already been made. Because it said, I didn't know the Untitled Video Game Project, and I thought, and I was sent there by my agent that would send me out for commercial auditions. It wasn't like they sent, the theatrical agent, the movie and TV shows agent would send me. I think we all came from our commercial.
That's how they do it.
No.
I'm not sure we're supposed to say that. They go through commercial casting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm afraid we have to stop here. But if you wanted to ask a question, they will be at their tables.
Yeah,
Go visit
come
them.
over.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up. Alex McKenna, Benjamin Byron Davis, Robert Wiethoff, Roger Clark, Red Dead Redemption.